All right, folks, how you doing? Ordinary Income back today. Hope you've all had a great week so far. We're almost there at the weekend anyway, but before we get there, I want to talk about the jobs market. Last week, particularly on Friday, we had the March jobs report come out, and what it showed us is that we're at 3.6% unemployment, which is levels that I think that are back to pre-pandemic, if not maybe even better than pre-pandemic. But for the most part, what we're seeing is that I think we've had the best job market since 1968, and that unemployment rate for sure, 3.6, is like definitely pre-pandemic levels. So now it's just a matter of looking at, okay, you have a lot of people working, and as much as you're going to be hearing people say jobs were created, I think more so it was that jobs were brought back, that the jobs that we saw were, when we had unemployment at like 14.7 April 2020, because a lot of companies like airlines and hospitality had to relinquish jobs, they've all kind of had a resurgence back. They've had a recovery, and they've had to rehire, or those people that got fired maybe, change careers of some sorts in some ways. Either way, we've had jobs come back, resulting in us coming back to the same unemployment level. But the idea is that, okay, we can first take a look at full employment, which means that are we making the most out of the amount of people that can't work? For those that are able to work, are we putting them to work? Are they working? And I would say that the Federal Reserve targets this a lot. They want to make sure there's a healthy unemployment rate when it comes to full employment. Theoretically, full employment would mean that we're at a 0% unemployment rate. Everybody is working. Realistically, that doesn't happen. So they kind of target between 2 and 4% is like ridiculously healthy. And we're right there at 3.6%. So unemployment is pretty much maxed out, or if it's not maxed out, it's the best we've had in years. The only problem is that we're still seeing other economic factors like inflation and demand kind of not bringing such a great perspective to the economy. If someone asks, if you were to ask anyone, how do you feel about the economy, they'd be saying it's kind of shaky at best. You have housing is way too expensive for a lot of people. Gasoline overall is expensive, our food is expensive, and all that. So the idea is this: if our jobs have come back and we're at a place where back in 2019 the economy felt great, and now we have the same unemployment rate, but the economy doesn't feel so great, what's the deal here? And I think you have to take a look into what happened in between December 2019 and March of 2022. Not just with the social unrest, not just with COVID or anything like that, more so upon what do we do economically. And what we did was we injected a lot of money into the economy. We gave stimulus to a lot of people that had lost their jobs. Well, those people that lost their jobs have recently gotten it all back, with the addition that they have more money in their pockets because of stimulus. On top of that, the Federal Reserve has gone into the financial markets and injected a lot of liquidity by purchasing bonds, by doing more QE in the bond market and the mortgage-backed securities market, which is probably why we're looking and saying housing has gone ballistic, because you have an automatic buyer regardless. Now, the Federal Reserve has also said that they're done doing this, but to simplify this for the average individual is that we've seen more money come into the consumer's pocket. We've seen more money come into the institutions' pockets as well. So now people are trying to figure out, what do we do with that money? And when you have more money, you want to spend it, so you have more demand. And that's been the biggest difference, is that our unemployment rate is the same. The people are back to work, but now everyone's holding more pockets of cash, it seems like. We have more interest in buying things, more interest in spending. And you can see that whenever you type in consumer demand, look at how it's some of these articles, that demand, outside of the fact that used cars have dropped, but demand for beef and pork are soaring. Food demand is going higher and higher. So there's still supply chain issues and all that. Consumer sentiment is still down, but you have a lot of demand for the common things that we want, in particular the things regarding to our food. Gasoline demand is higher. Granted, there's political factors that have impacted that, but you have more demand, so to say. That we have more interest in spending money. But as of right now, the people that, you need jobs to kind of meet that demand in order to be productive, so that when someone places an order somewhere, there's people able to fulfill that order. Well, those people are back fulfilling those orders, but at the front of the line, there's more people at the line asking for orders. And I guess that's the simplest way to put it. So you have much more interest from consumers to be spending on certain things, but you don't have enough workforce, enough labor to be able to meet those demands, particularly in supply chain. It could also be the fact that there was a change in jobs. So people have left those jobs that are more on the supply chain base, more in grocery stores, more in hospitality and all that, and moved to tech roles that are more behind a desk, that are automating something rather than producing something tangible or helping something move along the lines in supply chain. I know in this article or somewhere else in Bloomberg, I don't have it, so there you go. I don't have a membership, so I'm only using free, but I think there's been other reports that truck drivers right now, their salaries are going to $110,000 an hour. Yearly salary is going to $110,000, which is a really good salary overall, let alone, truck drivers, I think, are thrilled with that. So there's pockets that are still not being met, and I think a lot of it has to do with the concentration of where those jobs are is in a place that isn't helping our demand, on top of the fact that consumers themselves are coming out of this pandemic with more money in their pockets, not only from stimulus, but wage growth has increased as well. So there's more money, more people wanting to spend money coming out of the pandemic as you have kind of that return to normal effect. And we're not able to meet it, which is why you can have high, low unemployment rate, but still kind of feel shaky in the overall economy when you kind of see how things are moving. That's just my idea. Let me know your guys' take. I think it's definitely has something to do with the fact that, people are back to work, but it's not at the jobs that we need fulfilled right now. It's not and those areas that saw supply chain constraints in the pandemic, they haven't seen enough people come back to their jobs in particular to meet the demand and to be able to kind of untangle the mess of the supply chain they're feeling. But those are just my thoughts on what I've been seeing with the U.S. jobs market. Let me know what you're thinking. When it comes to individual consumer, I would say it's a great time to be looking for a job. I think it is 1.8 jobs to one individual right now, statistically. So for every person looking, there's 2 jobs available. I know if you work in tech, it feels even more like there's 4 jobs available for every one person. So if you're looking to make a career change, I think this is the best time to do it right now in the job market. For the average person, you're definitely in demand. You're the number one resource. And those areas that I spoke about relating to supply chain need a lot of people too. So it's a good time to be able to have leverage to negotiate for higher salaries, for whether you're looking for a job or even at your current job. But I think if you're trying to be mobile with your job development or go to somewhere new, the cards are definitely stacked on your side of the table, which hasn't always felt like that. So that's what it means. Those are my thoughts. Let me know, folks. I hope you all enjoy, and I'll catch you back tomorrow to wrap up the week.